Tell us about your first job.
First job. Well, I had part-time jobs when I was going through college, maybe even high school. Just teaching private cello lessons.
Okay.
So that was, 30 minutes at a time.
At home?
Yeah, at
Right.
home. Well, when I lived at the college, you would use one of their practice rooms, and have lessons in the practice rooms. So that wasn't there wasn't much to that.
So when did you start playing cello?
Oh, when I was in 7th grade.
And then from when you got to...
When I got to college,
You could
when
teach it?
I got to high school, I was good enough to start beginner cello lessons, and then when I got to college, then I taught a few people, not a lot. I didn't make much money.
Would they just pay you like cash and...
Oh yeah,
For
and it
30
was
minutes
it
or
probably
whatever?
for 30 minutes. It probably was less than $10. I don't know what it was
Yeah.
back then, but whatever a student charges, that's.
Would these kids like tote in this big cello across
Oh, yeah.
town every...
Yeah, and one of my students in college was a big guy. I mean, he was like, I don't remember his name, but I remember thinking, man, you're old to be starting cello. He was either high school or college age. He was just a few years younger than I was, so
Beginning cello?
yeah, beginning cello. And that wasn't a very serious job. I had my first regular job after college when after I got my teaching degree, and there was 3 of us in my graduating class that all wanted to go. We went up to Omaha
Mm-hmm.
and interviewed for elementary teaching jobs, and we had a group interview, and we all got hired, and we all got placed in inner city schools. And we were, I never had a class on discipline or anything, so we were just like glad to have jobs. But we weren't very well prepared.
Yeah.
And I stayed in Omaha and did that teaching job for 2 years. And I realized that I needed to do something else.
Did it make you think the teaching wasn't right? Or just
Well,
that
no,
situation?
teaching it was 3rd grade. I knew I probably needed to leave Omaha in order to, Omaha is fine. It's real hilly. And it was fine being out, in a city all by myself and with all those other strangers and having my own job and but I don't know that I was the best teacher at that time. I remember putting I shouldn't.
Well, you learned from this.
I did learn from it. I put, poor little boy, he wasn't little. He was about his 2nd or 3rd try in 3rd grade. And he was being real ornery and naughty, and I don't even know where I got this idea. But I put a circle with chalk on the chalkboard, just a little bit higher than his nose. And I made him stand there with his nose in this chalk circle. Not for very long.
So he wouldn't go somewhere else. And
Well, he was just so naughty. And I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
You can't yell at him. You can't spank him. You can't. Back then there was corporal punishment, but you had to send him to the office, and then the principal spanked him. But I had one mother come to my classroom. She was carrying this great big purse, and she came walking in there, and she said she's going to shoot somebody, and I sent her to the office. She didn't shoot it.
What was she mad about?
I don't know. Maybe her kid couldn't read. You just don't know. But I had one little guy that I had to frisk before he came into the classroom, and he would hide little weapons and stuff in the bushes out in front of the school. So that was my first 2 years of teaching.
You sent her to the office. There's no way to call the office ahead
No,
of
no,
time.
no, no, no. There was no calling, no cell phones, no,
Not
no.
even phone from
There
room to
was an
room.
intercom a one-way intercom that the office could alert you
Yeah.
to do something, or the whole classroom.
But you couldn't call the office and say,
No.
you got an interesting.
No. So when she came, I just sent her on, and there was no checking in at the office
Yeah.
before you come in. All the doors were wide open and unlocked, and
You didn't think she was particularly serious, did you?
no, she was just upset, and I thought, well, I've got a classroom of 25 third graders. You need to go into the office and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh
There's
dear.
one of your students'
Parents,
mom.
and I think maybe it was James's mother, and in my first week of teaching third grade, he sat in his desk.
Just,
when he had these,
James is just a kid you remember.
yeah, I don't
Is
know
he
why I
still
remember
on?
him.
Okay.
He was he stood out because he was a head taller, and he was much older than the other kids. But he sat in his desk, and we all had these chairs that were hooked to the desk. So he sat at his desk, and he peed right there on his chair, and it just flooded the floor. And it's like, why didn't you tell me you need to go to the bathroom? They was just spiteful, and they just they were just out to see what they could get away
Yeah.
with. And this poor kid, I don't know that he could read, and but he did pee on himself, and he made a big mess, and I made him clean it up. I don't know that we had custodians during the
Yeah.
day.
During the day.
Well, they cleaned up afterwards. Oh, jeez.
What year was this, you think?
This was 1972.
So it was 2 years around that time?
72, 73. And then I came back to Wichita and went to grad school and at WSU. And then I was in grad school there for a year, and I met your dad. And I decided, well, shoot, if I keep going to school, we're not going to get married, so I'll quit going to school. I'll just get a teaching job, and maybe we'll get married. So then I got a teaching job in Wichita.
Was he not going to school?
No, he was.
Was he?
Well, no, he was teaching.
Okay.
He was teaching. But I thought we both needed to have jobs. So that was, I did a year in speech path grad school to be a speech pathologist at the schools, and I thought, well, that'd be something different. But I only did 1 year, and then I thought, okay, I'll change. So I did kindergarten for Wichita for about 14 years.
And that was like the more permanent spot then.
That
Well,
was-
that means you
that-
did the cello, then 2
Yeah,
years
yeah,
in
yeah,
Nebraska,
yeah,
then you kind
yeah.
of settled into that.
Then this is good. And then I got my master's in counseling and school psychology, and switched and went out to Goddard, and by then I had all four of you guys. So I went to school and left Gretchen in charge, and you guys got on the bus and came to school, and the bus brought you home, and then
Yeah.
I got home, and you'd already eaten snacks and played with your gerbils or hamsters or whatever you had. Oh, well, yeah.
First job and all through, I guess, kind of
Yeah,
not as much detail. That's interesting.
yeah,
Your second job, I guess, or the job in Nebraska.
yeah, that was a basic. That was the first job was cello teaching, and
You just probably got a cello instructor say, "Hey, why don't you teach on the side?" Be a lot of students.
well, and I didn't have very many students.
Yeah.
One or two at the most at a time. It wasn't anything that I was going to do permanently because
Yeah.
I knew I was going to be a teacher, so an elementary teacher, not going to music. So
All right.
so that was easy. When I was younger, we lived at 920 South Pine, so we had to drive all the way across town to go to North Newton to go to church. And I would see, we passed, there was this
Is that
big,
church on Bethel campus?
yeah, Bethel College Church. And there was a Catholic church on the corner that we went past every time. I mean, and there were the nuns standing up there in their long, flowy gowns.
Mm-hmm.
At the standing up at the top of their steps, right there at the when they greet people to come inside. And I thought, man, I just love those outfits. I'm gonna be a nun when I grow up. But then I figured out they had to speak other languages, and I thought, man, can't be a nun. But I do like their gowns.
How old were you at that phase?
Oh, that was probably, I don't know, maybe junior high.
Yeah.
I was already thinking about a job, but
Yeah.
too young to realize that there's more to a job than just your outfit. Oh, well.
All right. Well, thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. Good memories.